Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to a 7-round Eagles mock draft here on Philly Sports Network. My name is Liam Jenkins. I hope you had an amazing Easter holiday. We're going to go through every single round for the first time since the team traded out of the top 10 just a few days ago. It has been a long process for the Eagles so far, a quiet free agency and accumulating draft picks for 2022, but we can't underestimate the importance of 2021, and with that in mind, it's time we get stuck in. Could be, I think, the most explosive mock draft out there. If you guys agree that I need to show this one some love, let me know what you think of the picks. Give me some grades and who you would select with each pick, as well as leaving a like if you enjoyed that video. It's my birthday tomorrow. I'm 26 years old, although I know I look 17 still. It'd be great if we could send this to a whopping 500 likes. Let's keep that total rising and really push on through the month of April. Alright, my first pick of the draft using the 12th overall selection is going to be a surprise to very few who've been around this channel for a while. Cornerback Jaycee Horn out of South Carolina. Now, I'm a big Patrick Surtain guy. I would much rather take him, but I don't think he's going to get past the Cowboys. I don't think he's going to get past the Giants. I think realistically it's going to come down to Jaycee Horn or taking a gamble and moving back for Caleb Farley, and I would much rather put all my chips on seam from Jaycee Horn, which is a very physical cornerback, someone who thrives at the beginning of the route, which isn't normally the kind of corner I prefer. You know me, I'm a dinner guy. I love the interceptions. I love ball production. Horn has that, but he makes his living by disrupting receivers at the beginning of their routes, getting his hands on, playing physical, and really asserting his dominance when tackling, which is, let's be honest, something this team needs. There are concerns that he isn't going to be great in zone coverage because he's played most of his time at South Carolina in man and press situations. I'm not too worried about it. I do think that he does have some fantastic quickness to him. His hip fluidity is tremendous. I'm sure Jonathan Gannon can coach him up. But from what I've seen from a physicality standpoint and just blanketing corners, he's not going to be 7 interceptions a season. He's not going to be 20 passes defense. But what he is going to do is just make sure that there are very few balls that go his way, and the ones that are disrupted, or they are going to be contested. So I'm all about it. I like the pick. I like the Patrick Surtain, but if it comes down to it, I'm not jumping off my cornerback bed just yet. I like Jaycee Horn. Next up, linebacker Nick Bolton out of Missouri. Now, the Eagles need a starting Mike linebacker. I think Alex Singleton is a fantastic will. I think TJ Edwards could be a strong side linebacker. We don't know what we've seen from guys like Davion Taylor yet. Obviously, Sean Bradley, who was on our channel not too long ago, has shown some flashes as well, but they need someone to anchor the middle while the rest of it fuzzles out. Fuzzle is a funny word. And I feel like Bolton's that guy. He's a very old-fashioned linebacker. He's a thumper. One that when asked to blitz will go flying through the B gap and just thunder into a running back. The guy's an absolute machine. He's not as great in coverage, but he does have that about him. He's beyond what is a relatively smaller frame at 6 foot, 232 pounds, and that's kind of what the Eagles need here. They're not after someone that's going to dominate athletically. They've tried that in last year's draft. Didn't end too well. They need someone that's proven they can anchor the middle of the field, and for me, Nick Bolton has done that. Round 3, pick 70, Amon-ra St. Brown out of USC, the first receiver, I say first, in this year's draft. I haven't gone with someone like a Jalen Waddle or a Devonta Smith, and for me, I think they're just going to fill a Jalen Reagor role. And it's not saying they are Jalen Reagor, because they're evidently better coming out of college, but it's the fact that in this offense, where you've got an X, a Y, and a Z in rigid roles, they're going to be Z receivers, and I think that you need to get someone who either fits an X or a Y, and I feel personally that Amon-ra St. Brown can tick both boxes. He's a menacing blocker. Like, he will throw hands, he's not afraid to get up and really get in the face of DBs, and that's what Sirianni really craves out of his X receivers. He's 6'1", he's highly competitive, has a pretty firm route tree. Like, it's impressive. He's not going to blow anyone away with, you know, burst or breakaway speed or explode out of his cuts, but what he will do is remain physical through the stem, not get knocked off his perch, and contest every catch. Sort of like a minimized J-Jaw, what he should have been. Like, it takes the best bits of what J-Jaw could have done and takes away whatever it is. Now, I like this pick. I think St. Brown can play both inside and outside. There's pedigree in his family when you look at Equanimeous. I think this could be a strong pick. Round 3, pick 84, Hunter Long, a tight end out of Boston College. Now, for me, you're going to get a tight end that led his position in college in both targets and receptions. I think this is going to be the most dynamic receiving threat outside of Kyle Pitts. Like, Kyle Pitts to me is more than a tight end. Like, that is a game changer for any franchise. Hunter Long is a tight end. He's very reminiscent of a Dallas Goedert, and I use that term kind of lightly. I don't think he quite has the physicality that Goedert does. He's not a breakout star. There's no breakout athleticism. His speed isn't out of this world, but he's a great hands catcher. He uses his hands well. He initiates well when blocking and chipping. I think he reminds me a little bit of Dallas Goedert, if that makes sense. He's not going to be a thunderous athlete that goes charging over the middle and breaking ankles, but he is someone that, sort of like St. Brown, is a bit more physical in what he does. He's able to use his body quite well to box out defenders, and more than anything, be a threat in the red zone. If you're losing Zach Ertz, this is going to be a nice little replacement to groom up without threatening Dallas Goedert and giving him an opportunity to earn that contract extension. Round 4, defensive end Patrick Jones II. Now, this pick for me is a fun one because the 4th round a couple of years ago, the Eagles drafted Sharif Miller. As long as they don't do that again and they don't balls it up, it's hard to do that twice, all right? It's hard to find a defensive end who does that little for a team twice in 3 years. So I'm hoping Jones will be different for me. He's 6'4", around 260, a little bit lighter than most, but he does have a very nice array of pass rushing moves already, something that Sharif Miller didn't. He had a bull rush, and that was it. If that didn't work, he was screwed. This is almost the opposite situation, where I feel like he has got a ton of counters. He uses his hands very well. There's a beautiful cross chop he can use. But then there's the other element where he can get washed out a little bit. And while his tackling is good, he isn't going to be as explosive off the line. Bending the edge isn't one of his strong suits. He's a very well-rounded guy that just has that mindset there. He's already got the moves. He already understands how to compensate and leverage for the deficiencies he has. And I think for that reason, he's going to be a nice addition to a pass rush rotation where there isn't much depth right now. So I think it's a developmental piece. I would rather someone know what they're doing, know what they're capable of, and have that backbone there, as opposed to athletically with no idea and the mental side gone. Like, you can coach the rest of it. I think you can become a very well-rounded rotational piece here, and that's what Jones can be. Round 5, pick 150, AMBRY Thomas out of Michigan. We're double dipping corners, I know, but AMBRY Thomas for me could be an absolute steal this late. He sat out 2020, his draft stock fell. It's a little bit emotional, I can't lie, because the guy is a very impressive nickel cornerback. Again, quite physical. Now, if you're going to be taking someone like Jaycee Horn, that's your CB2. That puts Maddox back inside, who himself has battled injuries, inconsistencies, hasn't really proven he belongs outside or he belongs at safety. He was good in the nickel, but we need to see more. If that doesn't work out, I think Thomas just adds a little bit more competition in that way. Very, very physical. He loves to hit. He is a ridiculous tackler. He will just fly into people for the fun of it, and I like that. I think that's sort of what Crayvon LeBlanc did, but obviously was a little rusty in coverage. I think AMBRY Thomas brings a little more upside than LeBlanc. He's going to compete head-on with Maddox, and in the 5th round, again, you could be getting a long-term starter there. Reminds me a lot of Pierre Desir. Round 6, 189, it's Ihmir Smith-Marsette. I took him in my last mock draft. I took him in this mock draft. I'll take him in the next 7 if I have to. I love this guy. This is my John Hightower. I know that won't fill you with confidence, but there's always one late-round sleeper that does it for me. Smith-Marsette is that. He's built exactly like Devonta Smith, has exactly the same traits as Devonta Smith, just maybe not as consistent, but comes at a much cheaper price. Obviously, he hasn't played against SEC competition. He hasn't gone up and won a Heisman here, but this is someone that still had 345 yards and 4 touchdowns last year in what is a run-first offense. I feel like if he was in a more pass-heavy situation, we might be talking about a mid-round pick here, but we're not, and that's great for the Eagles. There is some swagger to this release. He has a lot of great false steps when getting off the line of scrimmage. He's able to burst when he finally sets his feet. He gets a lot of separation. He's a deep threat. He's got great size about him. I love this pick. Round 6, pick 224, Josh Ball out of Marshall. We're talking about 6'7", 308 pounds of pure offensive tackle meat that Jeff Stoutland can get his hands on. We've seen what he can do with Jordan Mailata. And where this pick comes in is that, again, Ball is developmental. Not overly athletic. He is quite good in the run game. I love his hands. He does get hands on oncoming defenders very early. Has those puppy paws that I always look for. Footwork is a bit sloppy. I can't lie. Like, kind of getting his feet set. He has that Jordan Mailata size problem where he ends up unbalanced. All his weight is over his knees and he ends up kind of overexerting it and tumbling a bit. So that can be worked out. But we're in a situation where Lane Johnson has battled a lot of ankle injuries. He's got a hefty contract. He's getting a bit older. The Eagles may want, at the very least, a backup, knowing that Jordan Mailata should be a starting left tackle. That's going to open up some trade value for Andre Dillard. If they do move on, they need a more developmental prospect to go along with guys like Jack Driscoll. I think Josh Ball could be that guy. And 6-2-2-5, it's Rakeem Boyd out of Arkansas. So I suppose you guys would say Arkansas. Obviously, many of you will know him from Last Chance U. Obviously, he's had a very controversial decision to not declare for the NFL draft last year when he could have. He averaged over 6 yards per carry in 2 seasons with the Razorbacks and went, nah, I'm going back. And it kind of worked out well. I think he runs with a lot of purpose. He's a driven runner. It's very all or nothing. He'll just shoot a gap and hope for the best, and that's fine. That's what the Eagles need behind Miles Sanders. Proven he can catch passes, isn't a natural at it, don't need him to. You're looking for a running back too to change the pace, to be a thumper at the goal line. I really like Rakeem Boyd, just hitting a hole hard, keeping those legs churning. Isn't a freight train running back, but he runs like one, and that to me is all that matters. Round 6, P234, we got NAQUAN Jones out of Michigan State, a defensive tackle. He'll be joining former teammate Raekwon Williams at the same position. The Eagles have once done that before. They had Matt Pryor come in with Halapula Vati-Vaitai. Both of them formerly played for TCU. Now, the thing with Jones is he hasn't had a lot of exposure. He's been buried in that pass rush machine for so long, and the production isn't there. So, like sacks, he's got 3 sacks in 4 years. 6'4", 323. It's a good size. That's not beat around the bush here. But on tape, you do see someone that I always like it. It's like a Brandon Mebane role when he was with the Chargers, where he can just kind of get up and allow those defensive ends to run riot, which is what the Eagles need to do. Like, they need to really cash in. Fletcher Cox had a pretty dismal year by his own standards last year. Like, it took him a while to heat up. They need someone to do what Timmy Jernigan did, to kind of get up on underneath guys, to hold space, to anchor, and just let those other guys run riot, take the pressure off. You're bringing in a big body that is good at that can eat space, and that's frankly what you need at this point. The Eagles once traded obviously a late round pick to go and get Hassan Ridgeway. That's a similar sort of vibe here. I like what Jones brings to the table from a developmental standpoint. And finally, we're going to take a quarterback to keep the QB factory alive, because even this mock draft needs a little bit of toxicity. We're going to take FELEIPE Franks, a former Arkansas player, again, obviously teammates with Rakeem Boyd, formerly of Florida. Has had a tumultuous career. You know, he's battled injuries. Probably one of the most documented quarterbacks I can remember. Like, as someone that doesn't watch a ton of college football until the draft, I was a bit shocked at face value to think, oh my God, this guy's like a late round pick now. And then you go back and you watch and you understand why. So there are a lot of raw traits in his game. There's a lot of concerns there, and I get it. But you go away to Arkansas, you end up posting 68.5 completion percentages. You're still 6'6", 219 pounds. There's a lot of RPOs. I think it's a developmental quarterback. I think he does have upside. You're not going to get him in and he's going to be a starter right away. He's kind of lost that sparkle as time's gone on. But I do think there's significant upside here, and if the Eagles are going to take a quarterback, I think Franks is a good fit for what they're going to run offensively. But what do you think, guys? Let me know down in the comment section below. From myself, Liam Jenkins, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you soon.